You know the feeling, right? A simple disagreement just spirals. It turns into this full-blown, frustrating argument, and when it's over, nobody feels good about it. But what if there was a way to turn those fights into actual connections? Okay, let's get into it, because today we're breaking down a roadmap for navigating arguments, not by trying to win, but by actually trying to understand.
And that's really the heart of it, isn't it? Defensiveness. It's the brick wall that communication just smacks right into. So what we're going to do in this explainer is give you the tools you need to make sure that wall never even goes up in the first place. All right, so first we need to understand the battlefield. Let's call it the red zone. This is that initial superheated phase of an argument where emotions completely take the wheel, logic gets tossed out the window, and things just get messy fast. And this isn't just a mood, it's an actual biological state. Understanding what's happening in your body is step one to getting control.
And the science behind this is pretty wild. It's an event called an amygdala hijack. Basically, the emotional, primitive part of your brain, the amygdala, can't tell the difference between a verbal attack and, say, a tiger jumping out at you. So it hijacks the controls from the logical, rational part of your brain and floods your body with fight-or-flight hormones. That is literally why you can't think straight in the middle of a big fight.
And while our brain is going haywire, our mind starts laying these little traps for us. A simple comment might be a trigger, waking up some old fear from way back. We start hunting for evidence that proves we're right about the other person. That's confirmation bias. And then we pull out the big guns, the you always or you never statements. We're basically stating our feelings as if they're absolute facts, which, of course, just forces the other person to immediately get defensive.
And this, right here, this is one of our biggest blind spots. When I make a mistake, oh, it was the situation. I'm late because traffic was a nightmare. But when you make the same mistake, well, that's about your character. You're late because you're just disrespectful. See how that works? My flaws are just temporary circumstances. Yours are who you are. Seeing this pattern in yourself is absolutely key to breaking it. Okay, so we're stuck in the red zone, our brain's been hijacked. How in the world do we get out? Well, that brings us to the yellow zone. This is the transition phase, and we're going to need a toolkit to cool things down and take back control of the conversation. So this toolkit, it's really made of two core parts. First, and you have to do this first, you've got to manage your own body's physical reaction to the stress. Only after you've done that can you really use part two effectively, which is all about using very specific strategic language that's designed to calm everything down. Podcaster Joe Rogan is actually a great example of this in action. When a guest gets heated, watch what he does. He does the exact opposite. He keeps his voice low and calm. He keeps his posture still and grounded, not confrontational. And he controls his breathing. These three things, voice, posture, and breath, send a powerful signal to your own brain and to the other person's that there's no real threat here. The tiger is gone. All right, so you've gotten your body calm, you're grounded. Now it's time to deploy the real heavy hitters, your words. But listen, not just any words. We're talking about specific phrases that are basically engineered to bypass defensiveness and get to the real conversation. This one is just brilliant. Notice, you're not agreeing with their point. That might feel impossible in the moment. You're just agreeing that the subject is important enough to talk about. Those first two words, I agree, find a tiny patch of common ground, and it instantly helps lower their defenses. Okay, this phrase is all about making them feel like they're contributing, not just attacking. When you say, that's helpful to know, you're telling them that their information is valuable. It completely shifts their role from being an opponent to being a collaborator in finding a solution. I love this one because it completely reframes the dynamic. You become a student, and they become the teacher. By saying, I've learned, you're showing them they've successfully taught you something about how they feel. And that feeling of being heard and understood, it's incredibly validating for anyone. And here it is, the two-word ninja phrase, maybe so. This is the ultimate diffuser. You're not agreeing, you're not disagreeing, you are just gracefully stepping out of the way of a direct conflict. It doesn't add any fuel to the fire, and it buys you a second to think. So, you've used your toolkit, the tension has dropped, voices are lower, and you can feel logic starting to creep back into the room. Welcome to the green zone. This is where the good stuff happens, where real listening, connection, and problem solving can finally begin. This question right here, this is the pivot point. This one question completely changes the goal of the conversation. You're shifting it away from, I need to win and be right, and moving it toward, we need to find a solution together. You're no longer two people in a battle. You're two people tackling the same problem. So, now that you're working on a shared goal, how do you make sure you both feel heard? It comes down to this super simple but life-changing four-step process. 1. You listen.
Let them make their point, no interruptions. 2. You repeat back what you heard them say, but in your own words. 3. And this is the magic part, you ask, is that right? And 4. Only after they say yes, that's right, do you share your side. This guarantees they feel understood before you've even said your piece.
So we have the zones, we have the tools, but honestly, none of it really sticks without this last piece of the puzzle. And this isn't just another tactic. It's a fundamental shift in how you walk into every single difficult conversation.
This is it. This is the whole game. If you go into a disagreement trying to prove you're right, you're setting yourself up for a fight. But if you go in with the goal of learning something about them, about their perspective, about the situation, then you can never lose. Think about that. Every conversation just becomes an opportunity to grow.
And let's just be real for a second. What's the actual prize we're after? Is it that little flash of satisfaction from proving a point? Or is it keeping the relationship, the connection with that person, strong? So often, we win the little battle, but we lose the war, creating all this resentment and distance just to be right. The real win is always mutual understanding.
So, I'll leave you with this thought. The next time you feel that heat rising, that you're about to step into that red zone, just ask yourself this question. What if this fight isn't a threat? What if it's actually your single biggest opportunity to understand this person on a deeper level, and for them to understand you? What if it's not a battle at all, but a bridge?